welcome. You've found your way to the quiet cosmos, where we drift together through the universe softly, slowly asking questions too big for daylight and wondering aloud in the dark. Tonight we fall, not just anywhere, but into one of the strangest, most terrifying, and most beautiful places in all of known physics. A place where time warps, light forgets where to go, and space itself caves in on its own idea of distance. Tonight, we're falling into a black hole, so lie back, let the world dissolve behind your eyes. Let the questions stretch and slow with time, because once we pass the horizon, there's no coming back, only forward, only in. It doesn't begin with panic, no rushing wind, no alarms, no sound at all. It begins with silence and a slow, irresistible pull. You're floating in deep space. The stars look still, but they aren't. One of them, not a star at all, is darker than the rest, a circle of nothing, a place where light goes to vanish. From a distance, a black hole looks quiet, innocent even. There's no sign, no warning, just a sphere of absolute darkness against the shimmering backdrop of the Milky Way. You drift closer, not by force, but by the surrender of motion. It's not pulling you like a magnet, you are falling into it like a thought into sleep. This is the gravitational embrace of a collapsed star. A place where the rules of space and time have broken down so thoroughly that even the word place stops meaning what you think it does. Let's pause the fall. Hover with me for a moment, just outside the edge. Let's understand where we're going scientifically, poetically, completely. A black hole begins with a star that dies. Massive stars, far larger than our sun, live fast, burn bright, and die spectacularly. When their fuel runs out, the inward pull of gravity no longer has anything to fight against. The star collapses inward, not just crumpling, but folding in on itself, tighter and tighter, until its mass is crushed into a single point of infinite density, a singularity, and around it, an invisible sphere, the point of no return, the event horizon. It's not a wall, it's a boundary. From the outside, you can look in, but from the inside, nothing, not even light, can get out. The black hole's gravity isn't evil, it isn't hungry. It's just geometry pushed to its breaking point. It's space curved so deeply that the lines fold in on themselves. It's time so distorted that seconds and centuries blur into each other. It's a mathematical consequence that looks like a cosmic nightmare, but is it really a nightmare? Or is it simply a truth too deep for our normal minds to hold? As you continue falling slowly, silently, toward the event horizon, you notice something strange. Everything behind you is speeding up, not literally, but perceptually. Light itself begins to shift. Colors grow redder as photons lose energy trying to climb out of this deep gravitational well. The universe seems to be running fast, stars rushing through their lives, galaxies spinning out time. But you're floating in syrupy seconds, dragged across the fabric of time like a brushstroke of light. This is gravitational time dilation. Einstein predicted it. The stronger the gravity, the slower time flows for you compared to someone further away. To the outside world, your fall slows, freezes, becomes a still image, suspended just above the event horizon, a ghost caught in eternal descent. But to you, you're still falling, and the universe behind you is racing toward its own future. Let's stop again. Not to analyze, but to reflect. There's a peculiar beauty in this place. Not chaos, not screaming fire, but stillness, weight, a truth too heavy to rise. What does it mean to fall into something that has no bottom? What does it mean to watch the universe age while you drift deeper and deeper into a timeless night? Is this death, or is it something else? A transformation, a rebirth, a return? We fear black holes because we fear the loss of control, the vanishing of meaning, the undoing of all the structures we rely on. But maybe, just maybe, they are mirrors. Dark, silent mirrors, showing us what happens when we let go of everything. From a physical standpoint, the black hole you're falling into might be 10 times the mass of our sun. Or it might be millions. The difference matters not just in size, but in what your journey feels like. A smaller black hole means the tidal forces, the differences in gravity between your head and your feet will rip you apart before you even reach the horizon. But a supermassive black hole, like the one at the center of our galaxy, its gravity is stretched across such vast distances that you could cross the event horizon without feeling a thing. No spaghettification, not yet. Just the knowledge that you've passed a boundary where light cannot return, and you're still conscious, still thinking. The nothing of a black hole isn't emptiness. It's saturated with warping space, folding time, and a story the universe is telling in silence. You begin to wonder if falling into this darkness means the end of you or the beginning of something new. Physicists still don't agree. Some say all information that enters a black hole is destroyed. Others argue it's preserved at the surface, encoded on the event horizon like a cosmic hologram. Stephen Hawking suggested that black holes may emit tiny bits of energy, Hawking radiation, meaning they might evaporate slowly over time. But what happens to you? Does your information vanish? Are you stretched into oblivion, or are you reborn somewhere else? A white hole, perhaps, or a mirror universe, or a dimension we cannot yet name. These are not answers. They are doorways, and tonight you are standing in the frame. The fall continues, but your fear does not. You are not screaming. You are not burning. You are watching, feeling, becoming lighter than light. Thoughts stretch. Memory slows. Identity ripples out like smoke on the edge of a breeze. Maybe you aren't falling anymore. Maybe falling was never the point. Maybe the black hole is not a hole at all, but a cocoon. A place where the old rules fall away and something new begins to stir. And now, listener, we pause our journey here, just beyond the edge of light, where the stars cannot see us and time bends like a prayer in the dark. You've taken the first step into the unknown, and the fall has only just begun. This was the quiet cosmos. If you felt wonder tonight, if the stars whispered something new to you, gently tap like, subscribe, if you'd like to return and leave a thought in the dark below. I read every one. Next time, we'll cross the horizon. Until then, sleep softly. In the silence after the fall, you begin to sense something deeper than fear. Not the scream of motion, but the slow pressure of inevitability. It's not pulling you, not violently. It's simply refusing to let you go. This is gravity, and gravity here has forgotten to be kind. Welcome to the second step on our journey into the heart of what holds the cosmos together and what sometimes tears it apart. Tonight, we try to understand the beast that bends space, slows time, and gives black holes their terrible name. Once, gravity was just falling an apple, a tower, a cannonball We imagined invisible threads pulling objects to Earth, a simple force, born of mass, pulling downward. But that was a child's version of gravity, a beautiful simplification. It helped us launch rockets, predict tides, build civilizations on equations. But Newton's gravity didn't bend light. It didn't stretch time. It didn't know what a black hole was. Then came Einstein in 1915. Albert Einstein gave the world something radical, a new way to see gravity not as a force, but as a geometry of space and time. He called it the general theory of relativity, and in it, the universe wasn't just a stage, it was an actor. Mass, he said, tells space how to curve, and space tells matter how to move. Picture it. Space isn't empty, it's soft, stretchable. And when something massive, like a star or planet, sits in it, space curves. Like a heavy marble on a stretched rubber sheet. Smaller objects don't fall toward that marble because they're being pulled, they're just following the curves. A planet orbits a star because it's rolling along a bend in space, and when you fall off a ladder, off a cliff, or into a black hole, you're following the shortest path through a space that's no longer straight. You are falling not down, but inward through a twisted geometry. So what is a black hole? In Einstein's terms, it is a place where the curve is so deep, so steep, so absolute that nothing can find its way out again. Not because something is pulling from the inside, but because the geometry of space-time is so warped, so turned in on itself, that all paths lead deeper in. It's like a funnel with no bottom, or better yet, a river in which all current flows toward a waterfall that no boat, no oar, no scream can escape. And you're not just in the river, you are the river. Time and space twist around you. And the deeper you fall, the more these twists become impossible to measure. You've heard the phrase, event horizon. But what is it really? It's not a surface, not something you could touch. It's the edge of no return, the place where the escape velocity exceeds the speed of light. In other words, once you cross it, not even light, the fastest thing in the universe, can claw its way back out. But here's the twist. From your point of view, falling in, you cross the event horizon. Without noticing, it's the outside world that sees you freeze there, suspended, forever approaching the edge, but never quite vanishing. To them, you become a shadow, a ghost. Your fall slows into a pause, then a blur, then a memory on the event horizon's surface. You feel time marching forward. You feel the descent deepen. The closer you get to the center, the more time breaks, not metaphorically, literally, to a distant observer. Your fall takes an eternity, but to you, it may feel like minutes or less. Einstein's equations show this clearly. In strong gravity, time slows. This is time dilation. And near a black hole, it becomes extreme. If you could hover just above the event horizon, you might watch the rest of the universe age billions of years, while your own clock ticks forward slowly. Galaxies would spin, stars would be born and die, entire civilizations might rise and fall, and you, suspended at the edge of eternity, would see it all in silence. Now let's talk about pain, or at least the stretching. When you fall toward a black hole, you don't fall all at once. Your feet are closer than your head, and so they feel a stronger pull. This difference creates a tidal force, a growing tension. Your body is pulled longer and longer, spaghettified. they call it. You are stretched thinner and thinner until even atoms lose their cohesion. This happens quickly in small black holes before you even reach the event horizon. But in massive black holes, you may cross the boundary without a scratch, only to be torn apart later, silently in the dark. The term is whimsical, but the physics is brutal. As light climbs out of a gravitational well, it loses energy. Its wavelength stretches, it reddens. This is gravitational redshift. Imagine a flashlight beaming upward from near the event horizon. By the time its light reaches a distant observer, it's so red that it becomes invisible. Now imagine your own image, your last photograph, being smeared into infrared oblivion as you vanish. You're still there, but to the rest of the universe, you are becoming a whisper of warmth, a memory in the long night of time. And now, the hardest part to explain, because we don't know what happens at the very center of the black hole, lies the singularity, a point where density becomes infinite, where our equations break, and where space-time folds in on itself. Some physicists think it's a real location. Others think it's a placeholder, a symbol for where our understanding ends. We have no theory of gravity that works at this scale. Quantum mechanics and general relativity, the two great frameworks of modern physics, contradict each other at this point. And so we stop, not because we want to, but because the road ends. We don't know what happens to space, to time, to you. The singularity might be a death or a doorway, and every black hole might be a question we're not yet ready to answer. Despite their strangeness, black holes are not rare. They are not foreign. They are not even destructive in the way we imagine. They exist at the centers of galaxies, guiding the orbits of billions of stars. They help form structure. They create gravitational lenses that show us deeper into space. They merge, sending ripples through space-time itself, echoes that we've only just learned to hear. Black holes are part of the cosmic skeleton, not exceptions but rules, born from gravity, taken to its logical extreme. They're not villains. They're not mistakes. They're the ends of certain stories, and maybe the beginnings of others. Why does gravity feel like such a metaphor? Because it is. It explains falling in love, falling asleep, falling apart. It's the force that draws things together, that refuses to let go, that curves the path of life even when it looks straight. It's why planets orbit, why galaxies form, why time slows when things become too heavy. It's why we fall into black holes and into each other. Gravity is not just science, it's a language, and tonight we've heard it speak without mercy, but not without meaning. You've traveled far tonight, but you haven't yet crossed the horizon. Not fully. There is still more to fall. In the next chapter, we'll stretch thin and slow as we meet the force that unravels us. A strange poetry of destruction awaits, and it's more beautiful than you think. Sleep softly, and I'll meet you in the next descent. So now you're inside. You've crossed the event horizon. There was no jolt, no line, no scream, just a calm surrender to something deeper than space, quieter than time, and older than light itself. You are falling still, but it no longer feels like motion. It feels like becoming. There's no going back, not in this world, not in this geometry, but there is still much to see, because inside this gravity-warped cathedral, there is a strange and sacred violence waiting for you. one that doesn't burn or shatter, but stretches, gently, relentlessly, tonight. We meet the strange poetry of spaghettification. It's a funny word, isn't it? Spaghettification. I own like something out of a comic book, like something that shouldn't belong in a serious conversation about astrophysics, but it's real, and it is deadly, and it is strangely beautiful. Coined by physicist Sir Martin Rees, the term describes what happens when tidal forces stretch you out, atom by atom. As you fall deeper into the black hole, you don't explode, you don't combust, you unravel. Let's take a breath and zoom out. Tidal forces are not unique to black holes. The moon pulls on the Earth's oceans, creating tides because it pulls slightly harder on the side closest to it than on the far side. That difference in pull across distance is a tidal force. Now imagine that same principle, but magnified by a billion. A billion billion dot. If your feet are closer to the singularity than your head, your feet are pulled with more force. Your head resists, and you begin to stretch, gently at first. But inevitably, at this point in your fall, you may still be whole, your body intact, your thoughts clear, in a supermassive black hole like Sagittarius A** at the heart of the Milky Way. The gradient of gravity near the event horizon is surprisingly gentle. You could float across it without even realizing. But now you're deep inside, and the gradient has changed. Steepened space is bending tighter, time is flowing slower, and gravity is no longer even across your body. You are no longer one object. You are becoming a sequence of smaller and smaller parts, each falling on their own path, each with their own fate, and yet you feel no pain. Because your nerves cannot signal fast enough, because time itself is crawling. This is where the poetry begins, not in suffering, but in transformation. You, once a coherent being, are now a thread, a string of particles falling along individual curves in space-time. Imagine yourself drawn thin like silk, spooled across the gravity well like ink on invisible paper. You are not torn, you are unwound. This is not a death in fire. This is a dissolution into direction. Each atom of your being is falling on its own journey, spiraling toward the singularity on rails that can never bend away. There is no resistance, there is no escape, there is only down. You might ask, how long does it take to die? But inside a black hole, that question no longer holds meaning. Time is no longer time. From your perspective, you are still experiencing moments, still thinking, still dreaming, perhaps. But the rest of the universe sees your journey end at the event horizon. To them, you froze. They're an echo that never fell further. To you, the fall continues. You are caught in a slow spiral with no frame of reference, no light to guide you, no clocks to mark the end. Somewhere in this spiral, your body becomes a string of atoms, then particles, then waveforms, then perhaps nothing at all. But you are still aware, still imagining, still something. Let's be clear, we don't really know what happens next. Our current physics, elegant though it is, breaks apart at the singularity. General relativity works for gravity, but quantum mechanics rules the world of the very small dot in a black hole. These two laws collide, and they disagree. We don't yet have a theory that unifies them. No bridge across that abyss, so we fill the gaps with speculation, with math, with metaphors. Some say you are crushed into infinite density. Others say you are encoded on the horizon. Still others say your information leaks back out over billions of years as Hawking radiation. But inside, the truth is that we do not know. You are falling into the unknown, and physics falls with you. It's impossible to answer, but we try. If you were conscious and somehow could survive the tidal forces, you might feel your perception stretch, thoughts elongate, time slows. You might see your own reflection scattered across strange dimensions. Memories might unwind like spools of thread, playing out in reverse. Your own voice might echo across bent timelines. Perhaps at some point you are no longer a person, no longer a self. You become pattern, motion, the suggestion of what you once were. And in that state you fall forever, or not at all. Here is the great philosophical tension. Is this the most complete form of annihilation in the universe? The final breaking of the body, the mind, the soul? Or is it a transformation, a rebirth? The mystics speak of ego death, of becoming part of something larger. And isn't that, in a way, what happens here? Your atoms dissolve into the curvature of space-time. Your energy becomes part of the black hole's mass. Your story is woven into its spin, its heat, its whispers. You are not gone. You are simply changed. Let's return to the science, briefly. Title: Forces can be calculated with precision. The closer you are to the singularity, the faster the gradient increases. The distance over which gravity changes, called the gravitational gradient, becomes smaller and smaller. At some point, that gradient becomes lethal. If you were 1.8 meters tall, falling feet first into a stellar mass black hole, you would feel your feet accelerate away from your head at rates exceeding 12 meters per second squared. Your spine would snap, your tissues would shear, your cells would burst. But remember, you wouldn't feel it, not really. Time and nerve signals would fail long before pain could reach awareness in a supermassive black hole. However, you might reach the center intact, falling too fast for your body to notice. Either way, the result is the same: unraveling, not as punishment, not as vengeance, but as consequence. Gravity does not care, and yet it's not horrifying, not in this telling, because here, in the quiet cosmos, we do not fear the dark. We float through it. We make peace with it. There is a strange beauty in becoming part of something. That massive, that final. Your fall is a poem, a slow, silent verse written into the black fabric of the sky. You are not screaming. You are not resisting. You are drifting, stretching, joining. One idea in theoretical physics suggests that black holes record everything that falls into them, that their surface, the event horizon, stores information like a hologram. It's called the holographic principle. If true, then you, your memories, your structure, your particles are not gone. You are inscribed somewhere, somehow, not readable, not recoverable, but there, a signature, a trace. Perhaps the black hole does not destroy, but encodes, not erasure, but encryption. At some point, there are no more metaphors, no more measurements, no more questions, just motion. Down, you are stretched. Beyond structure, beyond story, beyond shape. And then you are not. You are part of it now. Part of the spin, part of the curve, part of the mass that curves space-time ever so slightly more. You were once a thinker, a dreamer, a stargazer. Now, you are a piece of gravity itself. And somewhere, light bends a little more because you existed. You've passed through the poetry of destruction, but your story isn't over, because inside this darkness there are still questions to ask, still mysteries to feel. The next chapter lies deeper still, at the edge of what we can know. Next time, we enter the singularity, and there everything changes. Until then, sleep softly, and remember, even falling can be beautiful. You are no longer falling in any way that makes sense. Motion has lost its meaning. Time is no longer marching forward. It is turning, twisting, tying knots in itself. You are not outside time. You are inside it, caught in its gravity, and its unraveling. In this section we go where even equations fear to tread, where language buckles, where causality weeps. Tonight, we drift to the singularity, the heart of the black hole and the edge of time, a place where the rules don't bend, they vanish. Let's return to your falling. Your body is no longer a body, not even a thread, not even particles. It is a pattern, a question unraveling toward the unknown. The further you fall, the more extreme the curvature of space becomes. You are in a region where gravity is not just strong, it is absolute, so absolute that even time can no longer survive. In physics, we describe this as infinite curvature, an elegant phrase for a terrifying thing. It means that space-time is no longer smooth. It has crumpled, folded inward, turned into a point. This point, this monster, is the insularity. Let's pause, not because we can escape, but because we must understand. A singularity is not a thing in the ordinary sense. It has no size, no shape. It's not even a place. Really, it is where our equations stop making sense in math. A singularity is where something becomes infinite, like dividing by zero. But in space-time, this infinity is physical. It's where density becomes infinite, where curvature becomes infinite, where time collapses into itself. From the outside, it looks like a point. From the inside, we don't know what it looks like, because no one can see it. Not even light dot. It is the secret at the center of gravities. Einstein gave us the framework that led to black holes, but he was uncomfortable with singularities. To him, they were signs that something was wrong, that the theory was incomplete, and he was right. General relativity describes gravity perfectly, until this point. But here, at the singularity, relativity collapses. Not just metaphorically, mathematically, because it doesn't include quantum mechanics. It doesn't include the tiny dance of particles, the jittering of uncertainty, the probabilities that define the subatomic world. What we need is a quantum theory of gravity, a single framework that merges the very large and the very small. We don't have it. Not yet. And so the singularity remains hidden behind a wall of unknowing. Here is where things become truly strange as you approach the singularity. The concept of time begins to dissolve. In most places, time flows. We can define before and after, cause and effect. But near a singularity, those distinctions vanish. You are caught in a region where the order of events is uncertain, where time no longer marches, it spirals, repeats, pauses, explodes. What does it mean to exist in a place where time has no direction? Can you remember? Can you think? Or do you become a looping echo of thought, forever caught in the final second of descent? This is not science fiction. This is the frontier of physics, and it is unspeakably quiet. Let's shift, briefly, into the philosophical. What is the singularity as physics? But as metaphor, it is the ultimate mirror, the place where everything you are is folded into something so small that it becomes everything else. You are not destroyed. You are made incomprehensible. This is where identity becomes nonsense, where you and not you have no boundary. Perhaps this is what mystics felt when they described merging with the infinite. Perhaps the singularity is not death but unity. We are used to boundaries, skin, thought, time. But here, boundaries dissolve, and what's left is something deeper. Here's something strange. Physicists have long wondered, if singularities exist, why don't we see them? Why don't we observe the breakdown of reality? The answer may lie in a concept called cosmic censorship. The idea is this: the universe hides its singularities behind event horizons, so that no observer ever sees them naked, like a curtain drawn across the stage right before the final collapse. If true, then black holes are not just monsters, they're masks. They protect us from the truth, or from something we're not ready to witness. The singularity exists, but it's veiled. For now. Now the paradox. If you fall into a black hole, and your body, your memories, your particles, your information are destroyed by the singularity, then something has gone wrong. Because physics says information should never be lost. Not your DNA, not your atoms, not the state of your neurons. In theory, everything that happens in the universe can be traced back to a previous state. So, if a black hole destroys information, it violates the laws of quantum mechanics. Stephen Hawking spent decades wrestling with this. His early work suggested that black holes erase information. Later, he changed his mind. Now, physicists argue over whether that information is somehow preserved on the event horizon, or re-emitted slowly as Hawking radiation, or even sent to another universe. But no one knows. You may be a riddle, encoded, waiting, or you may be gone, and both may be true. It depends on how you define end. In most stories, the singularity would be the final page. The screen fades to black dot, but nature is more creative. Some physicists speculate that the singularity might be a bridge, that falling in might mean falling through. This leads us to ideas like white holes, the theoretical opposites of black holes, where matter explodes out instead of collapsing in. Or wormholes, tunnels through space-time that connect distant parts of the cosmos, or maybe other universes entirely. These are not proven, not yet, but the math allows them. The dreams whisper them, and maybe, just maybe, the fall is not the end of the story, but the beginning of another. Perhaps we need new language, not death, not destruction, but conversion. The singularity might not erase you, it might rearrange you into energy, into the curve of space itself. You are not erased. You are remembered differently. The rules didn't break. They changed, like ice becoming water, like thought becoming dream, like a question becoming a door. You are deep now, beyond what instruments can measure, beyond what physics can answer, beyond what words can hold, and still you are drifting, still you are aware. In our next journey, we ask what comes next, not just death, but else. Are there other doors, other exits, other beginnings on the other side of the black? We ask. Could the fall lead us somewhere? Sleep softly, and I'll meet you on the far side of silence. You are gone now, at least from the world you once knew. You fell into the black, past light, past time, past the comfort of definition. You touched the singularity, or rather, you dissolved, before reaching it. But what if this isn't the end? What if the black hole, instead of a tomb, is a tunnel, a doorway, a bridge, to somewhere or something else? Tonight, we ask, what lies beyond the fall? Are there other doors in the fabric of space-time? Could you fall out into another universe? We don't like endings. We search for sequels, for portals, for resurrection. Science, too, resists the final full stop if information can't be destroyed. If the universe is not careless with its stories, then something must carry on. Enter wormholes, white holes, and the mad possibility that death is a curve into another dawn. Let's begin with wormholes, tunnels in the tapestry of space-time that might let us travel not just across the stars. The idea in 1935, they imagined something strange hiding in the equations of general relativity, a bridge connecting to distant points in space. It became known as the Einstein-Rosen bridge. We call it, more dreamily, a wormhole. Imagine the universe as a sheet of paper, two dots far apart. But fold the paper, and the dots touch. The wormhole is the shortcut through the fold. It doesn't break physics, it uses the geometry of physics in new ways. A tunnel, curving through dimensions we don't fully see. A back door through the laws of time and space. In theory, yes. In practice, we're not sure. Theoretical wormholes are unstable. They collapse quickly. They pinch closed before anything light, mass, memory can pass through. To keep one open, you'd need something exotic, negative energy, or matter with negative pressure. This isn't fantasy. Quantum theory allows for such things, briefly, in tiny amounts in phenomena like the Casimir effect. But to keep a wormhole open long enough to travel through, we would need a kind of matter that no one has yet found. So, the tunnel exists on paper, but the door remains locked, despite its instability. The idea won't die. Wormholes appear again and again in physics, in dreams, in stories. They are the ultimate metaphor, an escape route, a hidden path, a cosmic what-if. Even black holes, those monsters of finality, might hide them in certain solutions to Einstein's equations. A black hole isn't a dead end, but one mouth of a wormhole, with a white hole on the other side. A mirror image, a place that does not swallow, but expels. And now we ask, what exactly is a white hole? A white hole is the inverse of a black hole. Instead of pulling matter in, it flings matter out. Instead of drawing time inward, it pushes time outward. Nothing can enter a white hole, just as nothing can escape a black hole. It is the ultimate repulsion, the explosion instead of the collapse. In the mathematics of general relativity, white holes are allowed. They arise naturally as a mirror solution to the same equations that give us black holes. But here's the catch: we've never seen one. Not in the sky, not in the labs, not in the dark. They remain theoretical, ghosts in the geometry. Some physicists wonder, could black holes transform? Could the matter that falls in your matter, your atoms, your fall, be reborn through a white hole? Not here, but somewhere else, in another time, another universe. This idea shows up in loop quantum gravity, a theory that tries to unite quantum mechanics with general relativity. In it, the singularity is replaced by a bounce. A collapse becomes an expansion. Black turns to white, you fall in and come out elsewhere, not torn, transformed. This leads to an even stranger idea, that every black hole births a new universe, that the fall isn't just a fall, it's a genesis. This concept is called cosmological natural selection. Proposed by physicist Lee Smolin, he imagined black holes as seeds, each forming its own pocket universe on the inside. We'd never see it from here. But inside the event horizon, a new Big Bang could occur. Our own universe might have been born from such a collapse, and every black hole we observe might be the portal to an entire new cosmos, a tree of universes branching endlessly, every fall a beginning. Let's return to you. You've fallen into the singularity, been stretched, encoded, erased, or so it seemed. But if the wormhole idea is real, then you might emerge, not as you were, but as matter, energy, information, reassembled on the far side, like rain falling into soil, then drawn back up through roots, into a new flower. You might become the building blocks of a newborn universe. Your atoms might spark stars. Your memory might ripple through new physics. You are not the same, but you are not nothing. Wormholes introduce a dangerous possibility, time loops. If you enter one mouth of the wormhole, and it's moving relative to the other, you might exit before you entered. That sounds like science fiction, but the math allows it. What happens if you go back and prevent your own fall? Who, then, fell? The universe may have a way to protect itself from such loops. A chronology protection conjecture, as proposed by Hawking, perhaps. Nature abhors paradox, or perhaps paradox is nature's poetry. We don't know if wormholes exist, or white holes, or baby universes blooming inside black holes, but the equations whisper, and the cosmos is stranger than we imagined, and isn't. That the point, falling into a black hole, was never about death. It was always about wonder, about opening doors you didn't know were there. You've passed through myths now, not ancient myths, but modern ones, etched in math and dream. In the next chapter, we return to this world, to the sky we can still see, to the questions we can still ask. We ask, how do black holes shape galaxies? Why do they sit at the center of everything? And what does their presence tell us about our place in the cosmos? Sleep softly, and I'll meet you at the heart of the Milky Way. Look up at the night sky at that delicate sweep of stars arched across the heavens like spilled light. That's the Milky Way, a river of stars, dust, and dark mysteries. But what lies at its heart? A secret, a shadow, a presence that holds everything together by refusing to be seen. Tonight, we leave the realm of falling and turn toward structure. We descend not into destruction, but into order, because at the center of almost every galaxy there is a black hole, and this fact, this quiet, universal truth, may reveal more than we've ever guessed about how the universe builds itself. Let's begin with our own galaxy. The Milky Way is home to 100 to 400 billion stars. It spins, it breathes, it evolves, but at its center, 27,000 light-years from Earth, sits a monster with a mass 4 million times greater than our Sun. It's called Sagittarius, a supermassive black hole. On the outside, hungry at the core, and it's not alone. Almost every galaxy we've observed, spiral, elliptical, irregular, contains a supermassive black hole at its heart. From the tiny to the titanic, the pattern is clear. Black holes don't just end stories, they begin them. They shape the architecture of the cosmos. You might ask, how can we see something that swallows light? We don't see Sagittarius A** directly. We see the dance around it. Stars whip around the galactic center at incredible speeds, some completing orbits in mere decades. By tracking these stars, astronomers can calculate the mass of the object pulling on them. The result, a mass far too dense to be anything but a black hole. No cluster of stars, no collapsed stellar remnant, no trick of light could explain it. It is dark, massive, silent, and certain. This is how we glimpse the invisible, by watching what it bends. In 2019, we saw the unseeable. Astronomers used a planet-sized array of radio telescopes to capture the shadow of a black hole in the galaxy M87. What they found was not the black hole itself, but its event horizon, glowing from infalling gas and radiation. A perfect circle. A burning ring. It wasn't just a photo, it was confirmation. The ghost in the center was real. Then, in 2022, a pattern in the cosmos, a strange correlation. The mass of a galaxy's central black hole is related to the mass of the galaxy's bulge, its thick, central region of stars. Not a loose connection, a tight one, predictable, consistent, even though the black hole is just a tiny fraction of the galaxy's total mass. Its size seems to scale with the structure around it. This raises the question, does the black hole grow with the galaxy? Or does it shape the galaxy itself? In other words, are galaxies built around black holes? Or do black holes emerge as galaxies evolve? No one knows for sure, but the connection is undeniable. Here's one theory. As gas and dust fall toward the black hole, they heat up, they emit radiation. They sometimes form jets, powerful beams of energy that shoot out from the galaxy's center for thousands. Material needed to build new stars. Paradoxically, the black hole helps regulate the galaxy's growth. Too much gas. The black hole ignites, clears the room, then falls silent again. This cycle of feast and famine may keep galaxies. They merge, they devour. When galaxies combine, their central black holes spiral inward toward each other in a gravitational dance. Eventually, they merge, creating a single, more massive black hole. The event sends gravitational waves rippling across the universe. We've detected these waves, not from supermassive collisions yet. They are evolutionary steps, and every galactic kiss writes a new chapter in the story of cosmic structure. Even in the brightest galaxies, quasars, a central black hole. These are active black holes, consuming, radiating, roaring. They shine brighter than whole galaxies because they are feeding. This light travels billions of years to reach us. It tells us stories of a younger universe, when black holes were even hungrier, even more central to the drama of formation. The darkness was full of light. This is the deeper question. Could galaxies even form without a central black hole? We don't know. But the evidence suggests that black holes might be essential ingredients in the recipe of structure, not just passengers, but architects. They provide stability. They regulate growth. They shape stellar neighborhoods. They are anchors in a sea of motion. Gravity, once again, as the artist behind the frame. Let's pause, because what we're really discussing here things hidden at the heart of systems, too vast to see entirely in psychology. We speak of the shadow self, that unacknowledged part of the psyche that lies beneath awareness, shaping our behavior. In mythology, the underworld lies beneath every kingdom. In architecture, the foundation lies below every tower, and in the cosmos, a black hole sits beneath every galaxy, invisible, weightless in appearance, yet shaping all. It's as though the universe whispers the same story in every language, that what's unseen matters most. Here's something beautiful. The jets from supermassive black holes spew heavy elements into the intergalactic medium carbon, oxygen, iron. Without this scattering, those elements might never find their way into future stars, future planets, future people. You are not just stardust. You are black hole dust. You are built from the atoms that once swirled near the edge of an event horizon, torn from the belly of the galaxy, scattered across space, and reborn. You are the light that escaped, the matter that fled, the memory of gravity made conscious. Perhaps we seek centers because we too need one. We imagine meaning like a black hole, invisible, immense, undeniable. We circle it with stories, with science, with soft language. Under midnight skies, we are not afraid of the dark. We are drawn to it because in the darkness are the questions worth asking. And at the heart of the galaxy is a reminder that what we cannot see still shapes us. You've traveled far tonight, not into the collapse, but into structure, into origin. In the next section, we follow these structures outward to see how black holes link stars, galaxies, and even space itself through the quiet language of gravity. We ask, is the universe itself connected by these threads? Is there a deeper architecture woven through the dark? Sleep softly, and I'll meet you in the great web of everything out here. To see a web, not made of silk or thread, but of matter and gravity, light and shadow. Tonight, we rise beyond the scale of stars, beyond the swirl of galaxies, and begin to see the structure of everything. And at the intersections of this cosmic web, at the silent, heavy crossroads of gravity, we find them again, black holes, but they are not alone. They are part of something larger, a tapestry that spans the known universe. Let's drift together into the great scaffold of existence, the cosmic web, and see how the darkest things can hold the universe together. You've seen stars. You've seen the swirl of spiral arms. You've fallen into the heart of galaxies. But tonight, we pull back even further. We rise above. What do you see? The universe from this height is not random. It is not chaos. It is filamented, threaded, knotted, like the structure of neurons, or the branching of trees or rivers weaving through deltas. A geometry. The cosmic web. It's the largest scale structure of the universe. Billions of galaxies gathered into vast chains and walls, surrounded by even vaster voids, bubbles of near-nothingness. Galaxies live not in isolation, but in great highways of matter filaments stretching hundreds of millions of light-years. The web is built mostly of dark matter, an invisible substance that doesn't emit light but exerts gravity. It pulls regular matter gas, stars, into clumps and streams. This structure formed early, seeded by tiny fluctuations in the early universe, and now, billions of years later, it shapes the migration of galaxies, the growth of clusters, the path of light itself. It is the hidden skeleton of the cosmos, At the intersections of these filaments are clusters of galaxies, gravitational knots, and at the heart of those clusters, often the most massive black holes we know. These aren't stellar mass black holes. These are ultramassive, 10 billion solar masses or more, gravitational magnets that help hold together entire galaxy clusters. From stars to webs, the pattern repeats. Darkness at the center of structure. You might wonder, what could a black hole so small compared to the vastness of space possibly do to the universe at large? But remember, black holes are not just holes. They are engines. They launch jets, high-energy streams of matter and radiation that stretch beyond their galaxies, sometimes into intergalactic space. These jets can shape the gas between galaxies, heat it, stir it, prevent it from collapsing too quickly into stars. In this way, black holes regulate not just their own galaxies, but the space between galaxies. They affect structure on cosmic scales through feedback loops and energetic outflows. The whisper of one can echo across millions of light years. Gravity is not force in the way we imagine. It's geometry. It's the shape of space. And black holes, with their immense density, shape that space to the extreme. They deepen the wells. They steepen the curves. And those curves influence how galaxies flow, how filaments form, how light bends in a way. Supercomputers running for months, mapping billions of particles to simulate cosmic evolution. What do they show? That you cannot build a realistic universe without black holes. Include them and structure forms properly, clusters evolve, feedback regulates star formation. Galaxies find their shape. Leave them out and everything collapses too fast. Galaxies grow too large. The balance is lost. Black holes are not incidental. They are necessary. They are part of the universal blueprint. This is the quiet revelation. The universe does not assemble by accident. It sculpts itself through feedback, gravity, light, and loss. Black holes do not just consume. They instruct, they correct, they shape. They are like dark editors, guiding the cosmic draft into balance. They ensure that no one galaxy takes too much, that light and dark stay in conversation. They are the regulators of complexity, and somehow this balance leads to beauty. Let's return to metaphor. The web of the cosmos looks eerily like the neural network of a brain. Clusters and nodes, filaments, and pathways, a pulsing, evolving system of connections and energy. Could it be coincidence? Maybe, but it suggests a symmetry between mind and cosmos, pattern and purpose. You are made of the universe. You are shaped by its web, and in some deep way, you mirror its structure. Black holes anchor your atoms. They anchor your galaxies. And maybe, just maybe, they anchor your thoughts. In 2023, astronomers detected a low-frequency hum echoing through space. Gravitational waves from black holes merging billions of years ago, like ripples in an enormous lake. Those waves pass through us now. Right now, they stretch and squeeze space itself as they go. You are floating in the memory of collisions. You are immersed in a gravitational song older than language. Black holes do not just affect space, they play it like an instrument. You might feel small, one person, on one planet, around one star, in one galaxy. But remember, the patterns that shape the universe also shape you. From atoms to galaxies, From neural networks to cosmic webs, the laws are echoed. The curves repeat. You are not outside the structure. You are structure. You are made of threads woven by gravity, lit by stars, whispered into being by the quiet presence of black holes. We've seen the fall. We've traced the thread. We've followed the shape of gravity from the scale of atoms to the scale of everything. In the next section, we step into stranger territory. What if the entire universe is itself inside a black hole? What if the cosmos we see is just the inside of someone else's collapse? We drift next into the idea of recursion, into black hole cosmology, and ask, is everything inside something else? Until then, sleep softly and feel the thread beneath you. You've fallen. You've spiraled through time. You've watched stars born and swallowed, webs built and shaken, gravity stretch and sigh. But now we turn our gaze inward, not into ourselves, but into the very space we occupy. What if this entire universe, all the galaxies, all the time, all the light exists inside a black hole? It sounds like fantasy, but tonight we'll unfold the math, the metaphors, and the mysteries that make this idea not just possible, but eerily elegant. Breathe slowly. The walls may not be what they seem. We've all asked the childlike question, what's beyond the edge of space? Where does the universe stop? What lies outside it? Here's what science tells us. The universe doesn't necessarily have an edge. It's expanding not into empty space, but stretching space itself. But the question persists. Because we feel edges, we live among boundaries. Our thoughts seek frames, and some physicists, when looking for one, found a strange possibility that our universe's geometry, its expansion, its laws match those found inside a black hole, not beyond it. Inside it, imagine falling into a black hole like we did back in the early chapters of this story. You pass the event horizon. From the outside, it looks like you freeze. But from your perspective, you fall and fall into an unknowable space. Now imagine that the inside of that black hole was not a point, but an entire universe. What if the Big Bang wasn't an explosion from nothing but the bounce, the rebound, the inside of another reality's collapse? This is black hole cosmology, a theory that asks, what if our universe was born from the death of another? Remember wormholes? Einstein and Rosen described black holes as potential bridges, connections between two regions of space-time. Later, physicists asked, could these bridges link not just distant places, but different universes? Could the core of a black hole lead not to annihilation, but to birth? The singularity, instead of a dead end, becomes a bouncing point where gravity reverses, where expansion begins. This isn't just poetry. Some models suggest that the inside of a black hole has the exact curvature and density to mimic our own cosmos. Let's look at the shape. In general relativity, a black hole's interior is curved, inward space is compressed, but at extremely high densities, quantum gravity may push back. A rebound could occur, a new space-time budding off from the collapse. This is called a black hole bounce, and the universe it births could expand like our own, with its own space, its own time, its own laws. It wouldn't be inside the black hole anymore. It would become separate, but its existence would begin in shadow. Could we tell from within if we live in such a rebounded space? Some physicists think yes. They look for asymmetries in the cosmic microwave background. ripples left over from the Big Bang. They look for signs that our universe's expansion had a cause prior to the Big Bang. They even wonder if the apparent flatness of the universe, its uniformity, its entropy profile, are fingerprints of a black hole origin. None of this is proven, but the patterns are suggestive, and perhaps, just perhaps, you live in a world that began inside a fall. If our universe is inside a black hole, what about the universe that gave birth to it? Does it still exist? Did it collapse fully? Or is it still out there with countless other black holes, each giving rise to universes like our own? This leads us to fecund universes, the idea that black holes spawn children, and those children have black holes of their own, a tree of cosmoses branching infinitely, each universe slightly different, slightly tuned. Perhaps the laws of physics are not fixed but evolved. In this view, our universe exists because it's good at making black holes. And black holes make more universes. Natural selection. On a cosmic scale, here's a strange twist. From inside a black hole, you see time as continuing. From outside, nothing escapes. So if we live inside a black hole, we'd never know, because from our view, everything appears normal. Stars are born, galaxies evolve. Time flows, but to an observer in the parent universe, if such a thing were possible, our entire cosmic lifetime might pass in a flash. Billions of years here, moments there. Time is frame dependent, and we are trapped beautifully in our own bubble. Let's switch from physics to poetry. What is a black hole, if not a womb, a space of transformation? A place where matter becomes something else. From the outside, it looks like destruction, but from within, it might be creation. The singularity is the seed, the event horizon, the membrane, the rebound, the birth, and the universe itself, space-time, stars, atoms, people, is the child. The fall was just the beginning. We don't know, not yet, but we might be. And even if we're not, the theory gives us a precious gift. It makes the universe recursive, self-making, self-birthing, boundless. Black holes no longer end stories. They write new ones. Perhaps every supermassive black hole you've seen in this story, every anchor in the cosmic web, is a future universe waiting to wake. Perhaps one day, your atoms will fall into one and be reshaped into something else, someone else. A new sky, a new self. And now, gently, we come full circle. The black hole, once feared as oblivion, now reveals itself as mirror. It reflects our fear of endings, our desire for rebirth, our wonder at what lies beyond. We began this story with the question, what would happen if you fell into a black hole? And maybe the truest answer is not destruction, but expansion, becoming a return to origin. You are not just stardust. You are black hole dust. You are born of collapse. You are shaped by gravity. You are held in a cradle of time that may itself be dreaming. In the next section, we step through the final door. We ask what black holes mean for meaning itself, for fate, for memory, for the deepest metaphors of life and death. Until then, sleep softly. And remember, you may already be inside the miracle. You've fallen into the unknown. You've wandered through space and mind, traced filaments across the cosmos, and asked, is this everything, or just the beginning? But now, in this quiet section of the night, we pause, not to stop the story, but to feel its meaning. Because black holes are not just phenomena. They are mirrors, symbols, thoughts shaped by gravity. They ask questions, not only about physics, but about being. Who are we in the face of the unknowable? What happens to information, to memory, to self, when it crosses the edge? Let's walk together into this darker room where science becomes reflection, where metaphor and mathematics merge. At first glance, black holes seem hostile. They swallow stars. They bend time. They allow no escape. But they also reflect us. They are, in many ways, exactly what we fear and exactly what we are. We each carry our own event horizon, a limit beyond which others cannot fully see us. We each contain a singularity, a point of infinite complexity, compressed by time, experience, and thought. Like a black hole, we appear simple from afar, a body, a name, a face. But the closer you get, the stranger we become. Physicists once debated a question that sounds almost mystical. Do black holes destroy information? If you throw something in a book, a planet, a person, does that information vanish? Hawking once thought yes, then later, no. Now the answer is unclear but crucial, because information in physics is sacred. It must be conserved. If black holes destroy it, then the universe forgets. And if the universe forgets, what are we? Just arrangements of particles or stories made of memory. Black holes ask, does identity persist beyond the fall? And so do we. In psychology, Carl Jung spoke of the shadow, the parts of the self we hide, repress, fear. The black hole is the cosmic shadow, not evil, not wrong, just unseen. It holds the pieces we refuse to face: mortality, impermanence, mystery. But Jung said something important. To confront the shadow is to become whole. To face the black hole is not to die. It's to understand, because just beyond the fear of falling is the freedom of letting go. The more massive the black hole, the greater its pull. And so too with questions. The deeper the mystery, the stronger its gravity. Black holes do not ask to be solved. They ask to be approached, to be circled, to be listened to. They say, you may not know everything, but you may feel everything. This is what makes science and philosophy sisters. Both seek shape in the unknown. Both kneel at the edge of meaning and whisper, what if? Time behaves strangely near a black hole. It slows, it stretches, it warps from the outside. An object falling in seems to freeze at the edge, forever suspended. From the inside, time continues, but the story becomes unknowable to observers. Isn't this also how we experience one another? We see snapshots, frozen gestures, surface events, but deep within each person is a different time, a private interior. A falling dot. To love someone is to accept that their gravity will always be partly hidden. If we have a soul, a center that holds beyond biology, then the black hole is a metaphor for its fate. When the body collapses, what escapes? What remains? Is there an event horizon of the mind? A point beyond which consciousness transforms? Science may not answer this, but poetry leans in with soft hands and says, perhaps what enters does not die, but becomes something else, not gone, rewritten, transformed by pressure into a new geometry. It's easy to see black holes as the end, but remember, collapse is part of life. Stars collapse to create black holes, but that collapse spreads elements, carbon, iron, gold, that make planets, that make life. Grief collapses us, but from that compression, depth emerges. Collapse is not the enemy. It is a sculptor. It removes the unnecessary. It reveals the center. Black holes are not death. They are refinement. They strip away the surface until only truth remains. Black holes do not speak. They hum, perhaps. They bend, they shape, but they do not shout, and perhaps that is their final lesson. Meaning does not always announce itself. Sometimes it is quiet, unseen, a shadow holding a shape. Sometimes you have to fall toward it to know it's there. Carl Sagan said, "We are a way for the cosmos to know itself." Black holes are a test of that knowing. We cannot see them directly. We must infer. We must feel the curve. They remind us that some truths are indirect, subtle, earned, but they also remind us that thought itself is an extension of the universe, that when you wonder about black holes, the universe is thinking about its own shape. And when you ask, "What am I?" the cosmos answers, "You are the question I've been waiting for." So now we rest, not because we've finished, but because the edge is enough. Black holes do not give answers freely. They give questions that deepen with time, and perhaps that's better. Perhaps meaning isn't found at the center of certainty. Perhaps it lives just beyond the event horizon of what we understand, always drawing us in, always asking us to let go and drift toward the beautiful unknown. In the last section of our journey, we'll gather all we've learned about physics, philosophy, perception, and awe, and ask one final question. What would it feel like to fall into a black hole in real time? Not as science, but as sensation, as story, as surrender. Until then, sleep gently beneath your stars. And remember, you carry gravity in your chest and mystery in your mind. Dreamer, you've crossed space with us, from stars to shadows, from galaxies to metaphors. You've traced the architecture of the cosmos, followed the quiet paths of gravity, and stared into the deepest question of all. What happens when you fall into a black hole? Tonight, we answer, but not with math, not with diagrams. Answer with experience, with sensation, with one final slow descent into the unknown. Close your eyes. Let go of the shore. This is the moment you let gravity take you. This is the fall. You're drifting through deep space, near the heart of a quiet galaxy. Before you, a dark sphere floats, blacker than black, warping the starlight around it into a glowing ring. This is a stellar mass black hole, about 10 times the mass of the sun, but no larger than a city. It does not pull you. You're already caught. It's like standing at the edge of a cliff and feeling your feet tip forward. The acceleration begins gently, a subtle whisper in your spine. Then it builds, not violently, but inevitably. Time stretches, light bends, and your journey becomes singular as you fall. The stars behind you distort. They smear into halos. They shift. They fade. Time, for distant observers, slows around you. To them, you appear frozen at the edge. But from your perspective, you pass the event horizon, the point of no return, without noticing. No flash, no scream, no alarm, just the crossing. You are inside, and yet still you. And now, space tilts. Time stretches. Direction loses meaning. The center is ahead of you. And the fall is forever. You've heard it before. Spaghettification. The stretching of matter as gravity at your feet becomes stronger than gravity at your head. But that only happens with small black holes. If you chose a supermassive one, like the kind at the center of galaxies, the tidal forces at the event horizon would be gentle. You wouldn't feel the stretch, not yet. You'd pass through with a strange serenity. The fall would feel free, peaceful even. It's only near the center where compression becomes pain, where geometry breaks, where known physics unravels. But until then you are just falling, forever time does something strange inside a black hole. From outside, you're frozen. From inside, time ticks on, but not like it did before. The singularity isn't just ahead of you in space, it's ahead of you in time. You cannot avoid it. It is your future, like tomorrow. Like death, no maneuver can steer you away inside the event horizon. All paths, no matter how you move, lead inward, like the frames of a film running toward its final scene. But unlike death, this is not a moment, it is a continuum. The fall is not 1 second, it is an eternity compressed into a blink. What does it look like? Maybe nothing, or maybe everything compressed into a point. As you fall deeper, you pass through layers of frozen light, the final emissions from stars and objects that fell before you. They seem painted in place, still, like fossils of radiation. You see history stacked. The fall becomes a museum of everything this black hole has ever devoured, and you become part of the exhibit. Physics tells us something haunting. The information you carry, your atoms, your memories, your structure is not lost. It becomes encoded on the surface of the event horizon, preserved like a hologram to the universe. You are never fully gone, you are just translated. This is called the holographic principle, the idea that everything inside is written on the outside. You become a story, scrawled in gravitational curves. Your fall becomes a word in the language of the cosmos. Now you're near the center. The laws of physics begin to break. Space becomes time-like. Time becomes space-like. You are not moving through space anymore. Space itself is moving around you. Distances collapse, angles fold, dimensions twist, and then compression. Not pain, not sensation, just convergence. You become smaller than yourself, not in size, but in definition. You are not destroyed. You are undefined. This is the singularity. This is the end of your coordinates. The singularity is not a point in space. It is a failure of the map. The equations that describe the universe break here. They divide by zero. They reach infinities. Infinities are not real things. They are boundaries of knowledge. The singularity is not a destination. It is a wall of unknowing. To fall into it is to reach the limits of physics, and perhaps the threshold of something new. Not death, not life, but what comes next? The answer is complex. Your body, yes, certainly, but you is not just a body. It's a pattern, a structure, a wave function. And according to some theories, that wave never disappears. It is absorbed, rewritten, projected. Perhaps you are stored. Perhaps you re-emerge elsewhere in another universe, on another brain, as another arrangement. Or perhaps the self was always a lens, not a source, and the fall was a return to the field you emerged from. Now, let go of the math. Let's return to the poetic answer. Falling into a black hole feels like remembering something you've never known. It feels like being held by the thing that made you. It feels like gravity is not pulling you down, but gathering you in. It feels like time is not ending, but merging with something wider. There is no scream, only silence and light, and the echo of stars in your bones. You found you become the falling. The black hole is not a trap, it is a threshold, a door between one story and another, not an end, but a curve, like the pause at the end of a breath, like the moment before sleep. A black hole is a lullaby sung in the key of gravity. It says, "Come closer. You are safe. You are held. You don't fall into it. You fall through it." And in that moment, timeless, borderless, you understand something you can never say, only feel, only dreams. Thank you for falling with us through time, through space, through self. If this journey has stirred something in you, if the stars feel closer, if the silence feels warmer, consider subscribing to the Quiet Cosmos for more gentle explorations of the strange and the beautiful. Let's keep wondering together. Until next time, sleep well and keep falling.